It's my proud privilege to recite one more poem for your entertainment. This poem is entitled Factorization of Time and Its Space in One's Lifetime. This poem was composed by me around 5 years back. Perhaps all the poems that are contained in this book were composed in July, August, September of 2015 in Texas in United States. And they have all these poems have been compiled in one book, and the title of this book is, as you are saying, The Confluence of Flowers. To me, each the essence and soul of each poem is as if it is simply just like a flower that one sees in the flower beds. It's wrapped in mystery, it's wrapped in beauty, it is wrapped in the Almighty's greatness, and the poet is trying to discover that greatness, that beauty, and that Almighty's mysterious, infusion into each and everything that we see around in our life. Anyhow, I come to the poem. I again say that the title of this poem is Factorization of Time and Its Space in One's Lifetime. Viewers, before I start reciting stanzas one by one, let me just for a minute that the poet has become philosophical, yet he has got a mind as if he is a mathematician. And he is trying to understand as to how a poetic mind or a childhood mind differs from a mind that of a mathematician or from the mind of a person who is of my age. Who is of my age. He says, as we will, each stanza has got one very interesting phenomena to reveal, that a person, say for instance, when I was 5 years, if there was some person, a boy who was 10 years old and senior to me by 5 years, I would say this man is quite old. When I grew into 20 years, and if I would say someone who is around 23 years old, then I will say he is quite senior. And like this, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years would become to me as if it is a long span of time. But when I have attained this age, that is today when I am 70, if I see someone who is 50 years, I say, okay, he is of my age. He is of my age. So like this, the poet, like a mathematician and like a philosopher, is trying to view the span and space of time in one's lifetime. Time is wrapped in mystery. None so far has succeeded in unraveling its meaning and encapsulated in mystery, although its truthfulness is factual. Although its truthfulness is factual, yet none so far has unveiled its morph, if any. It means time. Time is a close kin of our skies. It is as large as are the skies. Time is a close kin of our skies. Its limitless domain is similar to that of the horizons, but for no sequel to its existence in the shape of brilliant blue colors of the dome of heavenly skies. That is, we may say time is just like the heavens. We see the heavens, the limit of heavens, in the form of blue skies. But when it comes to understanding the limits of the time, we have not been able to understand what is the limits of time, what are the limits of time, and if ever, or if it is a fact, we have been we have not been able to understand the morph. That means the morphology means the person of time. I have been able to sense the persona of time. Now the poet is saying, I have been able to sense the persona of time, its contours, though apparently invisible, yet have vivid impressions of its steps, which have left behind indelible imprints on the turf of my lifetime. The speed of time to me has, the speed of time to me has been varied at various occasions, Many a times it was overspeeding, whereas on several junctions it typecast itself into a tortoise. However, time never stopped at any place. Instead, its forward progress sustained itself, and its onward march on the path of life kept moving ahead, and it never and ever assumed a lull position. To me, today time space seems factorized. Now he says that when I have gone 70, then I have analyzed as to what is time, and whatever is the common factor between the thinking of a 5-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, and 70-year-old, whatever is the common factor with regard to understanding as to how old is the other person who is standing in front of me, or for that matter, what is time, that common factor has been factorized by the poet. And then he says, to me, today the time seems factorized. There were moments of feelings when a compatriot senior to me by 1 year was quite older, in my opinion, and on my time scale. A person senior by a decade was a symbol of gone by past times to me, and a person senior by 2, 3 decades was a relic of the bygone eras. A person, he continues analyzing and factorizing time factor, the poet. He further says, argues, a person senior by more than 3 decades would assume me in terms of survival fitness, will amuse me in terms of survival fitness. His body would appear to me as an old machine. I would marvel over its capacity to eat and move. And then he further continues, persons older than 40 years would tempt me to peep into the tunnels of time filled with darkness and amusement, where dust of time had layered into plethora of eras and epochs. He further continues, today, when I am 70 years, all the things of the past decade apparently appear to me as not so old. See, today, when I am 70 years old, all the things of the past decade apparently appear to me as not so old. The space and time certainly stands factorized today. Now, the standard scale of time has shifted. Now, the standard scale of time has shifted. Persons of the age of 50 years and a little less appear only a little younger to me. Quite in contrast to these persons, I appear to be a living fossil for them. How should one factorize time then? How should one factorize time then? Estimation and evaluation of time scale now. It's indeed a big crossword puzzle. It's indeed a big crossword puzzle. Time is both allays of darkness and dazzling beacons of life. But in any case, time's factorization in space must be determined for all. Those factors be intimated and enlisted, which vary the time gauging process so wide and so uncertain. Today, now the poet says, okay, he says in this very stanza, okay, let us find out or determine to say that this is the time scale, this is the time that a person who is 50 years old, if he casts a glance towards a person who is 70 years old, he must not say that he is very old. Or on the other hand, a person who is 70 years old should not say to a person of 50 years that he is just like me. And then the poet said, let me resolve this. And today I will do research upon this. And how the poet is doing research upon it, he says, today I will station myself on the rooftop of my house to gaze into the skies. Further, I will lift myself high on my toes to concentrate and to break apart the myth of time. I will also ascertain time puzzle by looking deeper into the skies at night with the help of mightiest of the telescopes. I will also dive into the deepest of the oceans to understand the metaphor of time. Yes, now the poet says he has done all these things. He has actually, in these two paragraphs, he says, I will. But now, next paragraph says that the poet has already implemented the ideas that he has proposed in the first two stanzas. And now he says, after implementing all those things, that is standing on the toes, looking into the skies, diving into the oceans to understand the depth or time scale of time, to determine the time scale of time, so as not to confuse people of different ages with regard to the appearance of face of each other. Now the poet says, yesterday I tried virtually every dice and device. The crux of my finding is that the progression of time follows the Einstein theory of relativity, follows the Einstein theory of relativity. It is small in my imagination. It is small in my imagination and, in contrast, quite huge in others' eyes. Thank you so much.